Hello everyone, we're doing something a little different today. We got a storm front coming in, it's early morning, and the fish are pretty fired up, even a little bit angry. And so I put my rain gear on and I got my big stick out. This is a Shimano 7/8 heavy SLX-A swimbait rod. In the world of swimbait rods, this is a pretty inexpensive rod to go about it. I've got a Daiwa Tatula 200 reel on there, which probably a little undersized for the rod, but it's getting the job done. 65-pound braid, 25-pound mono leader, and the bait I'm fishing is a very affordable swim bait. It's a Fish Lab Bio-Shad wake bait in the shad color. And we don't have shad where I'm fishing right now, but we do have herring, and it kind of looks like a herring. And so it doesn't really matter though. I think it looks like some kind of bait fish, and the fish are all about it. And it has really more to do with the conditions than the specific lure. You know, I bet I could get bit fishing a 9-inch slammer or a 7-inch slammer or a Pat swim bait or a rat. I could get bit on a lot of things, but this Fish Lab is pretty easy to throw. It's got kind of oversized hooks on it. You can fish it right out of the package. It's good to go. It's pretty durable. I've caught a lot of swim bait fish on this bait, and it doesn't show any signs of wear. To me, it looks a lot like the old Strike King wake shads. And those things, if you got a big fish on them, they'd break at the joint. I haven't had any problems with the Fish Lab version, and this is more like the extra large King Shad version of the wake shad. Strike King recently released a new version of the wake shad, but I can't tell if they fixed the hinge issues, and I haven't bought one to try it. They look so similar to me. I kind of feel like it's the same exact mold, same exact manufacturing. Anyway, back to the fishing. I got another one on, and this one's a little bit bigger. I'm fishing the outside edge of a weed line. It's really what I'm doing. I tried pitching the swim bait up underneath the trees, and they weren't in that thick stuff. They were on that first outside edge of the thickest weeds. At least that's where I was getting most of my bites. And that's a better fish. Got my trusty glow-in-the-dark lip grippers. Those things are great, by the way. I use them in the salt too. They glow in the dark, so if they just have a little bit of light on them before you go fishing, they'll glow for a few hours. So it makes it really hard to lose them if you're fishing in the dark. That's a nice one. Nice solid fish, nice and thick, good shoulders, good gut on them. There is some bass fry in the water, at least they look like bass fry. And I don't know if that fish, it doesn't look like a male guarding those fry. It looks like a female. Maybe she was trying to pick off her own fry. I don't really know. But I could see some bass fry in the water. I think that one went 4.8. Nice solid swim bait fish for the Northeast, but not a giant. They get a lot bigger than that. I was happy to catch her though, and I think I took a picture. I'm holding her in the water, so you know she stays nice and healthy, has good water flow over the gills. Take a picture of her in the water. And then I think I took one on the paddle too. Hold her up a little bit. And back she goes. Still in good condition. That swim bait rod really launches this bait. And it's not so heavy of a bait that it really wears out your shoulder fast. You know, so you can fish it all morning, no problem. See, I cast to that almost to that tree, and you can see the weeds in thick near shore, and I was just kind of cranking it on top, waking it, I guess. That bait wakes really well. If you reel fast enough, you can maybe get it down an inch, but it's not meant to crank down. It's meant to wake on top, and I kind of like that, especially in the summertime when you're trying to stay above the weeds. But you need the right conditions. If it was bright and sunny, those fish would bury themselves in those weeds, and you need a flip for them, maybe throw a frog in there, something like that. But they wouldn't come out of the weeds for that swim bait unless it was maybe nighttime. And you're not going to see any nighttime videos from me because all you're going to see is black on the video. So you're going to get daytime videos from this channel, unless I figure out how to do night vision camera stuff. And there's another one. See, they weren't right up tight to shore, and there's plenty of depth right up against in the bushes there. They could be there, they're just not. And I tried chucking it back in the shadows. Nobody was home. These fish are all built pretty well. They look like they've been eating well. But that's another thing, if they're fat and healthy, they don't have to eat every day. It's only because of the conditions that they're kind of fired up. There's another one. Some people ask why you're fishing such heavy line and leader for these bass. And it's not really for the bass themselves. It's if they get tangled up in the wood, tangled up in the weeds. And also for the bait. If you have a backlash in your line and suddenly stop short, that if you fish too light line, it'll break the line and the swim bait will go flying into the woods. So it's really more for the baits and the cover that you're fishing around than the bass. I mean, the biggest one I caught, I think, on this trip was 4 pounds, 8 ounces. And you don't really need 65-pound braid with a 25-pound leader for a 4-pound fish. It's for the baits and the cover that you're fishing. But they were chewing on this trip. Sometimes with swim baits, you got to go for a few hours before you get a bite. And honestly, I usually don't have the patience for that. But if the conditions set up right, this is the rod I'm taking out with me. And if they eat it like they're eating it today, I'm going to keep that rod pretty much locked in my hands. It's similar to me as to topwater. I only need a bite like every half hour to keep me going, and I'll walk the dog all morning long if they keep going for the topwater. Same thing with swim baits. If I get a bite every half hour or so, I'm going to keep that rod locked in my hands, keep that wake bait waking on top, and just keep fishing until I run out of swim bait eaters or the weather catches up to me. It was funny, once the rain really caught up to me, the bite pretty much died. And that happens a lot. It's the prefrontal conditions that you really want to fish in, not middle of the storm, although that can be good sometimes, and not post front. Definitely not post front, and not like the bluebird skies and north wind that often follow after a front comes through. If you can, you want to be out there pre-front, early morning, get in on that swim bait bite before it evaporates. Alright, that's all I got for this video. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Just like all my other videos, I'll list all the gear in the video description so you can duplicate what I was doing out here today. Hopefully have some good success wherever you might be living, across the country or across the world. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya!